Hey everyone, Lieutenant Dan here. This is a game called Blue Fire, and it is awesome. We don't usually do full playthroughs on the channel, but this one is worth it. So come along with me as I beat this game for the first time. So we start in this floating castle. It seems pretty empty, and you can see it's being infested by this red-black stuff, but deep in this castle we find the hero of this story, suspended in a tube looking like Luke Skywalker in Empire Strikes Back. The game prompted me to break out of the tube, which I did. Easy peasy, and now our hero was free. Ta-da! And then I started breaking everything, because why not? And turns out some things you break drop these glowing balls. I had no idea what those were for, but I'm a loot goblin, so I just had to have them. Oh, and that's when I found out that the red-black stuff hurts you, and I didn't have much health. But I moved on through the tutorial area, which told me how to jump, and led me down a hallway, where I found some locked doors, and learned that I can restore health at any time, but can only carry 2 healing potions, or fire essence, at a time. I found a door that needed a key, and I didn't have a key, and then the game gave me my first taste of combat. And at this point, I need to come clean. The video title is a little clickbaity. Blue Fire does have Souls-like combat, but a large part of the game is action, adventure, and platforming. I would say the game is like N64 era Legend of Zelda with Hollow Knight movement platforming and Souls-like combat. You'll see what I mean as we go. So I slashed these bugs and discovered the enemies drop these red balls. I didn't know what they were for, but again, gotta collect them anyway. I had to platform up some broken stairs, jumping, dashing, and avoiding the red-black goo. I found this blue ball that required a vessel of souls, no idea what that means, and then it was more platforming down this hallway. And I gotta say, the controls in this game feel really good, especially because the jump and dash mechanics are press sensitive, meaning you'll jump or dash shorter or farther depending on how long you hold the button. The door at the end of the hallway opened to a room with a chest in it, so of course I went for it. But then a cutscene happened, showing the room was a trap, and now I had to fight more enemies. Now, it's only the tutorial dungeon, so these enemies were super weak, and I promise later fights get much more interesting. But here you can see the Souls-like mechanics come into play. The lock-on target function, how timing your attacks matters to not get hit, how dashing helps in a fight, and then in classic Zelda fashion, clearing the room unlocked the doors and revealed the loot, which included a shield. But like a magic bubble shield, not a physical shield. If you didn't already notice, our hero dual-wields swords, so he would need a magical shield. And the other chest had an old key, again, very reminiscent of Legend of Zelda dungeon progression. I used the old key to open that locked door, which led me down another hallway. I got into another fight, in which I proved why I'm terrible at Souls-like games. This guy got 2 swings in, and I took both of them to the face. I promise I do get better. Then I found this statue, and we got another cutscene. There was a glowing cube thing, and then this big guy dropped in behind me. His name was Vaughn, and he carried 2 swords, same as me. He talked a little bit and basically said I was the chosen one who would bring balance to the Force. And he did explain that the glowing orb was a portal to another realm called the Void, and that I should use these portals to train and get stronger so I can fulfill my destiny or whatever. And then he just dipped out, without even letting me get a word in. So I activated the Void entrance to see what that was about. It took me to basically an obstacle course with little glowing things that I had to collect. This Void challenge was called Grace of Lula, and it was pretty easy. Grab the lights, a little bit of jumping, a little bit of dashing. I may suck at Souls combat, but I'm no slouch when it comes to platforming. The course even had checkpoints. A few of the jumps felt big, but again, the press-sensitive jump and dash mechanics made them really satisfying. There were even moving platforms I had to jump between, very much teasing the variety of platforming challenges I would find in these Void courses as I kept playing the game. This challenge was pretty easy, but then again, it's still the tutorial part of the game, and it was a good opportunity to finesse my movement controls. I just had to keep following the trail of glowing things, and pretty soon I had all 30 and was at the end of the course. And the reward you get for beating the challenge is another heart, which is a really good incentive to keep doing these challenges. Coming back to the castle, a new door unlocked for me. and I spotted something shiny in the rafters, but there was no way I could reach that now. I would have to come back. The next platforming area was filled with boxes. Some I could break, and some big ones I could not. But I could stand on them, which became important in the next room. The game used a short cutscene to clue me in on what I needed to do. You get the idea. But first I had to get rid of the bad guys in my way, and this fight went remarkably better than the last one. Just watch. Maybe there's hope for me yet. So then it was time to do some box jumping, showing off those skills I had honed in the void. Oh yeah, I forgot, I totally whiffed that jump. The skills I had honed in the void. There we go. Hopping my way up and over until I reached the door. But it was barred and I couldn't get through. There was another platform over here though, with a lever, which opened the door. Hooray! Except then a clock sound began, which I assumed meant I was on a timer, and I had to platform my way back up. Thankfully, no whiffs this time, and I made it through the door first try. In the next room was a door that was locked by 2 sets of bars, and the game indicated where 2 different switches were. Would these ones be on a timer too? I found some barrels to break, and this random blank plaque, but I didn't know what it was, so I headed down the stairs toward the door. There were some more enemies to face, and this fight didn't go as well, but I'll blame it on the uneven ground and the shadow goo hazards all over the place. Going up the stairs on the other side, I found another enemy. I still took a hit, but I'll blame it on me being bad. But that guy was guarding a chest containing an emerald ore. Then I had to keep pushing down the center path, and I came to this statue in the middle of the room. This was a fire shrine, basically a bonfire from Dark Souls, one of the few places to heal and save your game. Fought another sword guy at the end of the path, and this one felt good. And then next to the big barred door, I found these binoculars that reminded me what I was looking for. So I had to climb up the broken stairs, fight another bad guy. Hey, I'm getting better. And then the game informed me that I can dash directly at a target, even if it was above me, which is pretty neat. I broke some more barrels and then found a chest containing a new set of swords, which was exciting. Not only did they look super cool, they did twice as much damage as my old swords. And then I found another plaque. This one wasn't blank, but I didn't know what it meant either. So I headed back to the other side of the room to hit that other lever. There was another swordsman and a lot of goo, so I was trying to be careful, and holy cow did these new swords do work. I found the other lever and hit it easy peasy. And now the door was unbarred. But before I went to the door, I stumbled on something new, an emote statue with a mask like mine, who taught me the celebration emote. Turns out there's an emote menu, and now I could do a celebration dance on command. And then I found another void course, this one called Umbert's Secret, so I jumped in. This one had huge rotating platforms, plus it was raining and the glowing things were blue this time. So I charged in because I felt pretty confident, and after only a couple jumps, I fell. But turns out falling in the void just resets you to the last checkpoint, without even a health penalty. So I tried again, and fell again. So much for I'm no slouch at platforming. This is only a 2-star difficulty course. But by making sure I got full presses and dashed at the very top of my jump, I made it on the 3rd try. The question was, could I clutch out the rest of the course without falling again? Turns out you could just stand still on the rotating platform to collect most of the dots, which was cause for celebration. And then I got to do a really wild jump to the next checkpoint. I think these obstacle courses are a really creative way to break up the gameplay without taking you out of it completely with a random minigame or something. And they're a great canvas for the devs to try some really creative ideas that might not work in the main world. All that is to say, I really like the void courses. And yes, I was able to collect all the orbs and finish this course without any more falls. And at the end, I got another heart, bringing my total to 6. At this point, I had pretty well explored this room. There were a few areas that I wasn't going to reach at this point in the game, but I gave them an honest attempt just to see. And I did go back to that plaque because the imprint did look a lot like the celebration emote icon. But nothing happened, so it must be something else. And with that, it was time to open that door I had unlocked and see what was on the other side. There was some sort of shrine, water fountain looking thing, and when I got close, another cutscene began. Was this the end of the tutorial dungeon? There was some kind of symbol on top of the shrine, and then everything started shaking like an earthquake was happening. But my guy wasn't scared because he's a beast. Then everything went white because the symbol on top of the shrine had lit up and then began talking to me. Apparently, it was a spirit called Nuos, who was a god of this world, and it basically said, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." It said to go to the city and free him in the forest shrine. Then the light disappeared and everything went back to normal, but now I knew what I was supposed to do next: find the forest shrine. So I jumped into the tunnel, ready for anything. The next area was called the Arcane Tunnels, and it was much more dangerous than the Fire Keep. But this was the way I had to go if I wanted to find this city. Right out of the gate, I got to fight this green guy, and I tried to do it right. I waited out his attack, then dashed in and obliterated him, though he got the last laugh because he exploded right next to me. I made my way deeper into the tunnels, and then I saw a new face. It wasn't an enemy, his name was Orip, and he was very enthusiastic about elevators. He said the elevator to the city was broken, but he could fix it, then opened the way forward and said he would meet me there. I pushed on, trying to avoid the spikes and other dangers, and also not get lost. And then I stumbled on another void entrance, a 2-star course called Farah's Dream. Much like in the tunnels, this void course featured spike platforms that would damage me if I stood on them too long. But as long as I moved quickly, I should be okay. The rest of the course seemed pretty standard. I thought maybe I could even one-shot it. But then I came to this particular jump. It seemed I had to jump out and around the wall, then dash back to safety. And my first attempt failed. I got it on the second try, but that was a tricky maneuver. A few more spike platforms and I came to another jump around wall that I couldn't jump over. But this one I got on my first try. There was a spiral staircase platform section toward the end, and then the course was over, although I almost missed the last jump. But overall, I felt like I was really dialing in on the movement mechanics of this game. And now I was up to 7 hearts. Back in the tunnels, there was a chest that gave me a sapphire ore, and an emote statue that taught me how to do the windmill. Smooth moves, little man. Getting past the various spike hazards was tricky, but just watch this exquisite fight. Timing my attack, dodging his counterattack, taking no damage, but then getting skewered by a spike anyway. These spikes were actually annoying and painful, but at least I had built up my health pool a little bit. I found another empty plaque, but it was not impressed with my breakdancing skills. And I found a room with another void challenge, a bunch of pots to break, and another plaque, though I have no idea what emote that is supposed to be. So I hopped into the void challenge, a 2-star course called Path of Victory. This was the first void course I had seen that was red, which made it feel super ominous, but it had some cool new mechanics, including fans that pushed you up and these floating diamonds that reset your jumps, though it took me a while to figure out that's what they did. But if you touch the diamond when it's blue, you can jump and even dash a second time. This course was also much more vertical than the previous levels, and some of these setups felt super satisfying. Oh yeah. I guess I hadn't noticed on the first fan, but they also reset your jumps, as you have to dash into them and dash out of them. The devs did a really good job with these courses. It's almost like a platforming power fantasy, and it feels really good. And with that, I got my 8th star, doubling my starting health. Hacha! Continuing forward, I opened the door to a new room. Inside was another fire shrine, a hallway that was beyond my current abilities, but gave me a stab just for good measure, and a door to another hallway, but I didn't go down it just yet. There was also a chest in the center of the room that contained a new pair of swords. Not only did they do more damage, they looked super cool too, and bonus that their trails were orange. And there was an elevator that was not broken that took me to the 2nd floor of the room, where I found another door that looked like the way I was supposed to go, and I got to try out my new swords. I know these enemies are still super easy, but it feels like I'm getting better. That guy was guarding a room, but there wasn't much in it. So I decided to jump back down to that first door. But when I entered the room, I was met with another cutscene as the exits closed and enemies spawned in. Again, very Legend of Zelda. I took out the little guy first so he didn't kamikaze me, and to my surprise, the two big guys went down really easy. Apparently my new swords did enough damage to two-shot them. And then as a reward, a glowing, very special looking chest appeared, inside of which was a fire charm, which allowed me to charge and shoot a fireball, although it was less shooting a ball and more just blasting things from afar. So that's another cool ability that I'll probably forget to use. I am making great use of that shield ability I unlocked after all. Anyway, another room and another cutscene. It was just another empty room, but then it started shaking, and this purple robe guy flew out of the floor. He looked weird, and I couldn't tell whether he was an NPC or a boss. But when he didn't move, I figured it must be okay. And turns out he was the spirit hunter, and he wanted to teach me to hunt spirits too. Basically, spirits are selectable buffs, but you have to capture them to use them. And by capture them, I mean find them and click them. Doesn't really seem like hunting, but whatever. I left the creepy spirit guy and went back up the elevator. Then headed through the second door, being careful to dodge the spikes. Or at least I tried to dodge the spikes. These were some perilous jumps. I almost felt like I was back in a void challenge. But I reached the door at the other end, and it opened to a big room where it looked like a battle had happened. I spotted Orup at the elevator, but I wanted to get the loot first. And this is when I learned those glowing balls I've been collecting are called ore, and I can only carry 3,000 of them. So some of this looting was wasteful, but it is good that I had the full 3,000 because Orup decided to charge me 2,400 ore to fix the elevator, which feels like extortion. Well, what are you gonna do? Then the elevator was ready, and it was finally time for our hero to ascend into the city above.